Hello and welcome to University Television Presents. My name is Ashley Cox and today I'm here with Boise State University's Associate Vice President for Information Technology and Chief Information Officer Max Davis Johnson. Hi Max, how's it going?
It's going good, Ashley. Thanks.
Good, thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
How did you first become interested in information technology?
It was somewhat reluctant. My first introduction into it, I hated it. It was in college. I'd worked for a while. I was going back to school to be a math teacher and coach. I started taking math and there's some computer science courses and they were interesting. And then I started working a part-time job sorting hydrology data for a large construction company. They needed some help with programming Fortran. I knew a little bit of Fortran, so I volunteered and it just sort of progressed from there.
Very nice. What are some of the innovations the IT program is doing around campus here?
Well, and actually, I think there's a lot of things that we're doing. We try to focus on certain areas, but from an innovation standpoint, we're trying to do specific things in the classroom. We're trying to make sure that there's a level set of technology. So from a faculty standpoint, they go into a room, it's going to be the same to them. We've added lecture capture, classroom capture capability to about 40 of the classrooms now. So we've added what we call Max Wireless. And we're only going to call it Max Wireless if it works. But in the majority of our general purpose classrooms, we have enough wireless capacity so that if everybody had a device, we'd have enough capacity for everybody to connect. And as we use those devices more and more in the classroom setting, I think that's very important. We're going through a big process now to upgrade our administrative systems, or the student system, which students interact with, but our financial HR. We're expanding the data warehouse, the reporting aspects of what we're doing here on campus. So there's a lot going on the administrative side. We're also doing some pretty interesting things on the research side. Typically, information technology for research effort is usually left up to that department, or the researcher got the grant to provide his own computers. We're centralizing that here from the standpoint of having storage that researchers can use, having computational ability that researchers can use. And essentially we're giving it away to the researchers, because at the end of the day, they'll buy some devices, they'll put them in a closet, they'll put them underneath their desk, and the grad student that's working on them, he goes away, and then we've got a problem. And so the idea is, let us focus on the infrastructure. We'll provide whatever the researcher needs, and then then the researcher can focus on his research. Also, from an innovation standpoint too, we're starting to develop a number of things, not only from a student perspective, My Boise State on the web, but we also have a My Boise State mobile, and you're going to see more and more features and functionality that's going to be put into that. And hopefully, it's going to help students as they go through things here at Boise State. Something else that we're doing too, and it's not necessarily a technology innovation, but it's more from a customer service standpoint. We've really been trying to set up areas on campus where basically we call it concierge support. We have 3 zones on campus, and the idea there is that a student, faculty, or staff member can walk into there. They have a device, they have a problem with it, and the idea is we're going to help you. Maybe you can't get connected, maybe some software is not working, but the idea is you can get the help you need, when you need it. Besides just calling on the phone or trying to do that, you can actually walk in and get some help. So we're trying to do some innovative customer service things too as we move forward.
That's awesome. Wonderful. So you also have a blog called Max's Minute that you do on a regular basis, and in that blog you talk a lot about that 13-14 roadmap that you guys have planned. And what are some of the projects specifically on that roadmap that you talk about? Okay,
so on the roadmap, it's number of projects. Probably the largest effort is what we run our administrative systems, student system, payroll, finance, and ultimately research on a platform called PeopleSoft. and Boise State was an early adopter of PeopleSoft actually before year 2000, and the Boise State has certainly changed as a university since the year 2000. Unfortunately, how we have used the systems has not, and so we're basically, I don't want to say re-implementing, but we're taking advantage of all the new things that are now in the PeopleSoft platform that we weren't doing before, and so we sort of are doing a redo, across all of these. So we're phasing that, so that's a big part of it. But at the same time, we're part of the roadmap, what we call the roadmap 2. We're expanding the data warehouse. Currently, our data warehouse is where we get reporting out of. We store data that we understand the structure of, and then we can generate reports and analysis up. Currently, in the data warehouse, we just have student-related information as far, courses and things that students are taking, and the classes and all the student records type information. We're expanding that to start including finance information and HR information, so we can start looking at these things holistically. We're also doing what we call My Boise State as part of that, and basically all the web-related services that a student has, or a faculty or staff member, they go to this one location, and over time the idea is that all these services, online services, are there in one place. They log in once, and then they see the things they need to do. At the same time, when you log in, we know who you are. So if you're in a certain group, we can send you targeted messages. If you're a freshman, maybe there's certain things we want all the freshmen to see, and so we can expose that to you. So certainly that's something that's going to grow over time. Another item from the roadmap, which I think is really exciting, is a enhanced. We're calling it e-advising, electronic advising, but an enhanced system that helps keep students on track as they go through their programs, and hopefully allowing students to graduate on time. It gives information back to administration. Because a lot of, as probably some of you here realize, that you can't always get into the classes you want because there's not enough seats. And we can use this system to know that we've got 29 people in this program, and for them to stay on track, we need to make sure we have the appropriate number of seats in these classes and this semester. So over time, the intent is hopefully that it not only increases graduation rates, it increases retention rates, things like that, because it also will give us an opportunity to intervene if a student gets off track in their program. Instead of you just registering next semester, we would say, hey, you got to go talk to your advisor, and sort of force a little bit of interaction there when needed, as we move forward. So I think there's some pretty exciting things that are going to come out of the roadmap.
Yeah, with these programs, how do you think they're going to evolve the Boise State campus as a whole? Because you obviously have a vision for them. So where do you see this taking our university?
Well, and so I think we're trying to lay the foundation. So as the university moves forward, we can adapt. I mean, you look at one of the things. You and I talked a little bit earlier about what we're trying to do from a research infrastructure standpoint, cyber infrastructure standpoint, which I think is very critical. But another thing too, as one of the buzzwords that we'll see in the future is individual programs, in sort of a personalized education experience, and there's more and more content that's available from an instruction standpoint, from a faculty standpoint, and there has to be an easier way for that faculty to pull content, say video from here, pull this text from this ebook over here. Maybe I've got this really neat presentation that somebody did, but being able to bring that all together in one place, and then having the students go through it. So how we deliver content is going to be more variety, a lot more sources. It's not just going to be going from a textbook or going to a class and taking notes. that will still be a big part of how we teach, but the ability to pull information from everywhere together is going to be critical. And so having a platform in place that we can support that. But also, as part of this personalized learning, the idea, especially when you're talking online environments, the idea that a student has to start this day and in August, and this class goes until the end of December. We're going to see that blurring and changing a lot. We'll still have some of those segments of time for a class, but you'll see more self-paced. Basically, you can start basically about any time, and if you get through the curriculum, you can basically finish at any time. And so putting systems, processes in place that help support that concept, putting things in place that reinforce this concept of learning anywhere and any time too, I think is critical, so going forward too. So.
Wonderful. You recently sent out an email to all of campuses, campus-wide, about the ransomware. Mm-hmm. I got that a couple days ago. So can you explain what that email was about? I believe it's a virus, and what's its function?
And so we get, it's interesting, from a university perspective, universities, because of our nature, we run what we call an open network environment. We have literally, 10,000 guests, students coming on campus every day. They're bringing their own devices. You've got a lot of the public coming on campus. And so we have to run what's called an open network. We can't just, lock it down, and we know who you are. We have to give a lot of people access. And so as part of that too, we're an easy target, and so you will see a lot of quote unquote attacks coming towards us. We probably, over the course of a week, we probably have 500,000 attacks that they probe. They're probing. They're trying to find holes in our network, or holes in application, holes in our servers. And most of them get blocked, and so what you're seeing in some cases, this case is a very clever, email addresses are pretty accessible. It comes in the form of an email attachment. If you happen to open that particular attachment, it would essentially put a piece of virus or malware on your machine, and what and one reason we wanted to let people know about this, because it's started to affect a lot of people, not only here at Boise State, but across the state. And so the idea is hey, this is out there. Use common sense here. If you don't know who it's from, don't open attachments. I mean, just some of the stuff that we try to educate all the time, but sometimes we need a reminder, and that's basically what that was about. Now, in this particular case, this was a pretty mean-spirited, and basically it encrypted all your files on your machine and basically didn't allow you to access them. And in theory, it would let you access them if you gave it a credit card number or something like that. Reality is they wouldn't have even allowed that, and it's a way for it to sort of scam credit card numbers and then use them later. So the intent here was to make sure people are aware of this virus and don't open. If you don't trust the source, don't open it.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And there's a lot more of that, and a lot of it we do block, and we've got a lot of tools, and we have staff that basically are just dedicated to doing this.
Very nice. Well, good to know that we're all being looked after.
And it's not foolproof, so.
That's okay, at least the effort's there. There is a box that I've noticed between the IOC building and the education building, and it's on a lamppost. And you said there's about 9 of them on campus. Can you explain what those are and their function?
So what those are outdoor wireless antennas. And I think if you wander around on campus, occasionally if you look up on the ceiling, you'll see this little white square box with a little blue light. I don't know if there's any in here. And basically those are wireless access points. And as a rule, those wireless access points have the capacity to handle about 25 active connections. these wireless, outdoor wireless nodes, which you're talking to, we have 9 of those scattered across campus. Those literally have they're basically powerful radios. They have a very extended range. They can handle up to 300 connections at the time. And so the idea is, if you're outdoor, you're sitting underneath a tree, you can take your device and you can connect. Whether it's your laptop, your tablet, you can even use it on your phone. And I joked when I first got here. I said I want to be able to walk across campus with my laptop and not lose a connection. And basically we're pretty close to that. We have a bit of we need a little bit more coverage around the intramural field by the Union, but we get another access node there. I think literally you'll be able to walk across campus and not lose your connection.
Wow.
So
impressive. That's a long distance.
Yeah. So we've got 3 in the quad. I don't, if you wander around the quad, we've got one on the admin building, one on the math geoscience building, and then another one on an antenna sort of over there by the library. So, as funding becomes available, we also have some in the res hall area. As funding becomes available, we'll add a few more as we see need and demand.
Perfect. Earlier you talked about changes in the classrooms specifically, and you said there's about 40 classrooms with the same technology. So with that, do you want to expand to all the classrooms, and then how do you teach the faculty how to use that as well?
So I think there's, and so we have about what I call general purpose classrooms. And general purpose classrooms are classrooms that are scheduled by the registrar's office. And so and those are our responsibility from a technology standpoint. So in those 102 classrooms, that's what we're trying to get the same level of technology in all those classrooms. And in 40 of those classrooms, that's where we have the lecture capture capability. But other than that, our goal is to get those rooms pretty much the same. So when I say the same, they've got, you go in there and the computer in the classroom and the console, it looks the same. It has the same applications on it, the same software. You've got the same, control on the wall to control, okay, I want to project from what's on the screen here to the projector, or wait, I want to plug in my laptop, or I want to run this DVD. All those should look the same to the faculty member, which means we have to have the same control box type thing in there. So what we do from a faculty standpoint is at the beginning of each semester, and unfortunately not every room's the same, because you just can't go in and refresh 102 rooms all at the same time. So there's a bit of a staggered to the rooms. So at the beginning of before each semester, we reach out to all the faculty. We know what room they're teaching in. We send them specific instructions about what's in the rooms that they're teaching in. We offer to we have open houses where you can drop by, and we'll walk through with you. We ask if you want to schedule an individual appointment. We'll come work with you. We have online training videos that faculty can see. And at the same time, if you're in a classroom, you look around, and it'll be up on the console. We also have a classroom support line. So if you're in there, something's not working, you call that line, and we have people scattered across campus. So in theory, we should be able to get there in 3 to 5 minutes, depending on once we get that call. Now, we can't always solve the problem right away when you walk in, and so also across campus, we have what we call crash carts. Basically, it's a classroom on a cart. So we can wheel that into the classroom. We have about 3 or 4 of them scattered across campus. So we'd wheel the closest one into the classroom and get the instructor set up on that. So hopefully there's not too much a delay in moving forward with the class. And so we try to work with faculty on a regular basis, getting their input. What works, what doesn't work, what can we do to improve. And hopefully we make the appropriate adjustments, from their standpoint too. And also we look for feedback from students too. So, you'll get complaints about, hey, I couldn't connect in that classroom. So, we'll try to figure out why potentially there were some issues and things like that. So.
Cool. In your blog, you've talked about expanded server and storage opportunities and cloud stuff. Can you explain a little bit of that that's on campus?
So, I think some of it is, the cloud can mean a lot of things, and basically I look on the cloud as running your stuff on somebody else's computer, and so we refer to what we're trying to set up from a research standpoint as Boise State's internal cloud, private cloud, for research, saying, from a researcher's standpoint, you're going to run it on our computers and not, not yours. But other than that, you're going to have the same access. In fact, in some cases, you'll have unlimited capacity, as much capacity as the whole cloud has. And so we're just trying to label it. But at the same time, as Boise State moves forward, we are going to be using more and more services, more and more computers or storage or applications that aren't here at Boise State. They're going to be, quote unquote, in the cloud, and we already do some of that to some degree. And so what we have to do as we move forward in this new environment, one, we have to make sure that we've got the connectivity, the bandwidth to connect to all these services. So if you have contention, or you don't have enough speed in your network connecting in, those those things that are out there in the cloud, they aren't going to work as well, because you want it to work like it is here. And so that's part of it. At the same time, a lot of times we're pulling information from this service and from this service over here, so we've got to have the ability to mash them up. So in theory, you shouldn't care where this stuff is running, as long as you can look at it and access. The other thing too is this concept of identity management. So for you to use all these services, they have to know who you are. You have to have the right credentials. So there's a lot of things we're doing behind the scenes to make sure that when you log into Boise State, we set things up so that when you go to this service, it knows who you are. It'll give you the proper things. You go over here, it will know who you are. So that's a big part of what we're looking at in the future, how we manage that, because more and more of what we do from a computing and application standpoint will not be here at Boise State. It will be somewhere else, and that's just the nature of where we're going. So we have to make sure we've got connectivity. We are the ability to pull all these things together here, and then also the ability to manage identities and roles and things like that. So.
Thank you. So earlier you talked about the myboisestate.edu, and that's what faculty and students use so they can access everything. And that's very new to us as students this year. Is there anything that we can expect, upcoming changes, anything that's going to be changing soon with that website for us?
So if, and actually, timing's very good, next week, early November, you'll see you'll see the faculty staff version of My Boise State. Right now there's just a student, but at the same time you'll also see some new enhancements for students that will be coming out. For instance, when you log into My Boise State now, you will actually have a box here in the middle of your screen where basically you'll have your class information, your current enrollments. You'll have the ability to go back and look at other semesters. But hopefully by the middle semester you know what classes you're taking. But if you click on the class, it can take you into that class location in Blackboard, let's say. Eventually, at a certain time, if there's alerts or messages associated with that class, there'll be little icons on. You can click on the icon, it'll show you the message for that class. At the end of the semester, when grades are ready, you can click another little button, it can show you your grades. And hopefully, you do it all without going directly into the PeopleSoft student system the way you currently.
Awesome.
And there'll be new features there over time. Say in March when you do student elections coming up, when student elections are ready to go, there's that 2-day period. You log into My Boise State, there'll be a little box, click here, and it'll bring up the things that you're voting on.
Awesome.
So we'll be trying to incorporate things like that
Awesome.
as we move forward.
Awesome, Max. Well, thank you so much for your time. We so appreciate it. My name is Ashley Cox. Thank you so much for joining us today for University Television Presents.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.